Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. All right, folks, let's talk about education. A huge story out of New York City, which summed up perfectly in this tweet from Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Before I go to it, it deals with the specialized elite schools in New York City. Who gets in, who gets out. What we know is that New York City actually has the largest percentage, largest number of black people in America. And at one of its elite schools, 7 black kids got in. This is what she tweeted. 68% of New York City public school students are black or Latino. To only have 7 black students accepted into Stuyvesant, a public high school, tells us that this is a system failure. Education inequity is a major factor in the racial wealth gap. This is what injustice looks like. Now, that's her tweet. So let me give you the story, okay? New York has 8 specialized high schools, okay? These are not magnet schools. The entrance is determined by a single rigorous standardized test in middle school. Now, the issue is how people get into these schools. Now, Mayor de Blasio has wanted to scrap these tests in order to expand the number of black and Hispanic students. The interesting thing, though, is that Asian parents are mad as hell because of this. Why? Because at this particular school, 74% of all the students are Asian. Look at this chart from the New York Times. You can see the black students are in red, okay? The Asian students are the light blue on the bottom. Let me explain it again. Asian students in blue, black students in red, Latino students, of course, they're in the orange. Now, the issue that these are the most elite schools. De Blasio said this is unfair. We need to open them up. Huge role in New York City as to exactly what to do about this. The other issue is that you've got black and Latino politicians who are quiet as hell.
There we go.
Real quiet. One of them, the Brooklyn borough president, he came out against this after he supported de Blasio changing the test. Well, why is that? Because a number of Chinese American donors canceled their fundraiser. So the question for that Brooklyn borough president, who the hell do you represent?
I think you make that clear.
Who do you represent? If 68% of all the students in New York City public schools are black and brown, and then you have these elite schools, what's the problem? Now, we can break this thing down. We know that there are issues with standardized testing. We know that standardized testing impacts black and brown children differently. How is that an actual measure of your knowledge? What we also know is that there is a very serious system in New York that costs money to prep for these tests. Because see, let me walk you through this. What these Asian parents are focused on is that they literally are saying, we're going to put our kids into these elite New York City schools because they're going to go from there and they're going to go to Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Columbia, Cornell, Dartmouth, all of the Ivy League schools. What is also happening as we speak? Well, Asian parents working with conservatives who don't like affirmative action were suing Harvard because they're saying that Harvard is capping the number of Asian students who are getting into the school. They're all about the elite institutions. So what you have here is you have Asian parents who use affirmative action when it suits them, but now are working to take down affirmative action at Harvard when the real issue is like the white girl Mary Fisher who sued the University of Texas. What the Asian parents need to realize is it ain't the black folks and Latinos who are keeping y'all out of Harvard. It's the white folks when 1/3 of Harvard's incoming class are legacy admissions. Y'all should be dealing with white folks. But they literally will take down affirmative action programs in order to get their students in. Let's go back to New York City. De Blasio, who's the mayor, wants to change this. Other folks in New York State say, oh no, this is wrong, it's a bad idea, you shouldn't touch this. This, folks, is a fundamental problem because what we're dealing with is there even one solution. Somebody said, well, what if we then, since we have 8 elite schools, why don't we just create a 9th one for the Asian students?
No.
Create a separate school for the Asian students? So again, walking you through the problem here. You have these parents who are spending thousands of dollars on special tutors, on programs to ace the test, which black and Latino parents can't afford. You have serious inequities here. The question is, what is New York City going to do? Also, what are these black and Latino politicians going to do? A couple of years ago, I spoke to the Black and Puerto Rican caucus in Albany, New York. This was not an issue. Trust me, I lit them up then. They probably would not want me to have to come back and speak to them again when it comes to this issue. I want to go to our panel here. Juliana, I'll start with you. You were president of a college here, Bennett College. This exposes how shameful New York City public schools are, and how you have all of these white folks, liberals, Asians, liberals, who say, oh, don't you dare touch these special schools, because they have benefited more than anybody else from the system and don't give a damn about leaving black and Latino kids behind.
And just step back for a moment, Roland, and talk about the economic implications of this. These schools are taxpayer funded. All of the tax dollars from New York are going to fund these schools. So black parents' dollars, Latino parents' dollars, everybody's dollars are going to fund these schools, but our kids are not getting the benefit of these elite schools. So it's literally a transfer from the poor to the wealthy. And that's something that I think has been missing in part of the conversation. Yes, we can talk about the myth of meritocracy, and it is a myth. We saw that with the college admissions scandal, but we also see, when we look at the entirety of the pipeline, what's on the pipeline? How do you get to these schools? As you say, people are paying for tutors. People are paying for supplemental education. If you make the average income for an African-American family is under $40,000 a year. Average income for a white family, something around $70,000 a year. So if you make $35,000, $40,000 a year, where is the tutoring money coming from? There's no program to supplement tutoring for all children. So this is not about a meritocracy. This is about a wealth autocracy, if you will. And Asian folks have been, many of our allies have stood with us, but many have not, because it's really all about the Benjamins. It's about their bottom line, not about our bottom line in access. I think simply on the basis of the transfer of wealth from the poor to the wealthy, by taking my tax dollars, and my child is going to a raggedy school, and saying my tax dollars are going to support Stuyvesant, which is a state-of-the-art school in New York, that is patently unfair. Bill de Blasio is doing the right thing, but because of, the law is designed to support the status quo.
Here is a tweet from Kristen Clark. Go to my iPad, please. In 1975, Malik, there were 303 black students at Stuyvesant, one of New York City's elite public schools. Look how the numbers have declined. 1980, 212. 1990, 147. 2000, 109. 2018, 10. 2019, 7 black students offered slots.
Wow.
Wow.
How to explain that? I don't know. I don't know if they did some type of study explaining exactly what happened between the years or anything. But what I do know is that, as much as what you said, these politicians, they need to get behind it, the black politicians. And I'm talking about people on both sides. It's not just Democrats, but Republicans as well. We need to start looking at these things collectively.
Let me give you one more. The Bronx High School of Science. 12 offers to black students out of a class of 803. That's 1.5%. In 1994, 11.8%. 2005, 4.8%.
Let's get Alexandria or Ortez or
Ocasio-Cortez.
Ocasio-Cortez, all of
and
these,
many others.
And many others. Let's get all of them together. They need to start pushing these type of things. You know, she has a platform. Let her use the platform to address issues like this.
Cleo,
Roland, it's not an issue.
Cleo, 295,000 black students in New York City public schools.
See, this is one of the reasons why I don't like the term people of color. Because the term people of color implies, without explanation, and it's usually without explanation, that we are this group of people outside of whites that go through this similar challenge. And only people who will have, and who usually have black people's back when we have each other's back, is black people.
Yeah.
We need to advocate for ourselves and stop being put into this people of color, abstract, inclusive.
Right.
Even when I speak Spanish fluently, so I'm often in Latino meetings, and anyway, the bottom line is that nobody be talking about black and brown, but black people. A lot of those peoples are just brown. We need to be just black.
Black.
And be glad about that. So the whole point I'm making this clear here is that people of color, those people of color are Asian. They are not only not caring about black people, but they're helping to bogart and get in the way of black progress.
Got it.
There's a lot of that under the rubric of people of color. That's why we need to stop being non-whites, which is what people of color means.
They need to
and
scrap
be black.
this.
That's why.
Well, and that's the
Black,
piece.
black,
And
black,
there are many people who believe the test should be scrapped and you should have some other measurement. But here's the piece. Those Asian parents are like, hell no, don't you dare do that.
Because they
benefit from it.
That's right.
Because their focus is all about the Ivy League schools, Julia.
Not people of
And the
color.
fact is that we know that students with grade point averages and other things, not the test, succeed.
Got
You know
it.
that you can teach to the test. You know that.
Yes.
So the notion that the test is the only entry portal to
Got it.
these elite schools is in itself discriminatory.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Calling all HBCU alumni, students, and leaders, enter the Ford Motor Company HBCU Mobility Challenge and win $25,000 for your school uninterrupted. Building on their long-term support of HBCUs, Ford is looking to improve mobility in HBCU communities through innovative solutions. The winning program will receive a grant of up to $25,000 to implement their proposal. The deadline to apply is March 31st, 2019. Go to FGB.Life. That's right there. FGB.Life for more information and to apply. Ford goes further in our community, and we certainly want to thank them for being a partner with Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.